like fat. Please don't make me eat it. So, you know, someone your size who's pregnant and, you know, you'll be breastfeeding eventually, you should be doing upward of about 45 grams of good oil a day.
So what's the difference between the grams and the servings? How do you differentiate?
Oh, that's a good question. A serving would be, for instance, of saturated, a pat of butter, a teaspoon of mayonnaise.
Wow,
you know.
a teaspoon.
That's 5 grams. Most Americans who are watching their fat intake tend to keep their fat intake under 20 or 25 grams a day. Under 30 is considered low fat. But most women are really phobic, and they do none.
Right,
You know, so they won't even do chicken or turkey. They end up doing bagels and pastas and breads.
Right.
And given that, they end up missing all their good essential fatty acids.
But what you said eventually converts to fat anyway.
Right. Too much sugar goes to what? Fat.
Fat, yeah.
And if you're doing low calorie and you're doing all sugar, you're just going to keep storing fat. Anyway, because your calories are so reduced and your body's starving.
Right.
So it's going, poor Karen can't get any fuel, so we're going to store this bagel as fat in case she never gets fat again.
Yeah.
You know?
And you mentioned earlier low-fat products like just low-fat cookies or low-fat desserts or...
If they're low in fat, they are high in sugar.
Right.
And
so
if it's low in fat in a TV dinner, it's going to be high in sugar or sodium or some kind of, you know, sugar substitute. So it might be fructose, it might be dextrose, it might be something, you know, but it's going to be sugar, and sugar again will convert to fat.
And do you believe this to be even more detrimental?
I do.
Okay.
I do simply because I'm seeing Americans, Karen, across the board, and I've been doing this now almost 12 years. I'm seeing Americans showing up with problems with their thyroid, and they're hypoglycemic.
Okay.
And we're seeing a lot of moodiness. I mean, something like almost a third of Americans are on Prozac or some antidepressant.
Right.
That's amazing. People are depressed because they're not getting any vitamins or minerals. They're not eating live foods. They're not getting any essential fatty acids in their diet at all. So I think that's the biggest problem.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if I answered your other question about how much a day.
Yeah. How much? How many servings or how many? You said something about for myself as being pregnant, 45 grams. Well, how much for?
Well, what that would equal for you, say 1 tablespoon of an unprocessed raw oil, which you really can only find in a health food store. You can't really find those oils in Jewel or something like that. They don't carry them for the most part. But 1 tablespoon is 15 grams of fat.
15 grams is 1 tablespoon. Okay.
Yes. For instance, I have...
So that's not a lot. I mean,
no.
1 tablespoon is not a lot.
So you should be doing at least 2 tablespoons a day, which would give you 30 grams of unsaturated fatty acids. And it's a good idea to rotate your oils. And then I would add in, if I were you, maybe 2 little handfuls of seeds or nuts, which would put you at around 40. And then you could maybe do, you know, some avocado or some olives or something every single day.
Are there any seeds and nuts that are better than others as far as causing blockage in the digestive systems or the colon?
Well, they really don't cause blockage as much. You know, if you don't have a healthy functioning gut, then you just better eat live foods or get some digestive enzymes to help you out.
Okay.
But again, these good oils, Karen, lubricate the intestines.
I see.
Most of the time when I see people who are constipated, it's because they don't have any good oils.
Okay.
They don't have water, they don't have enough food, or they don't have good oils, or a combination of all 3.
Right.
So if you get those essential fatty acids in, I think like a couple of the girls were mentioning last week, their biggest problem was giving up coffee and eating fat.
Right.
You know, what they consider to be fat. But again, it's a misnomer. This is fat right here. You know, that is a hunk of fat. That's 1 pound of body fat.
Right.
And you can see here, if you look at our different lists here, everything over here is basically man-made. Chocolate chip cookies, potato chips, a hot dog. You know, hot dogs aren't grown as hot dogs, or they're not raised as hot dogs. Frozen yogurt, ice cream, donuts are 51% fat. You know, milk is 35. Skim milk is 5. That's nice. Pecan pie is 50%. Croissants are 50%. Cottage cheese is 42%, 14% in low fat. Cheddar cheese is 74% fat. Sour cream is 87%.
Okay.
Cheeseburger is 45% fat.
Look at that. Mayonnaise, 99% fat.
Mayonnaise, 99%. Chocolate bar is 55%. A beef steak is 74%, untrimmed. And chicken with a light without the skin is 24% fat. So these are either all saturated animal byproducts or they're man-made products, and they are all saturated.
Okay.
You know, people eat these, and it's okay to have these once in a while, but not all the time. And actually, you will find that you will burn more fat on your body physically if you consume more of those unsaturated fatty acids. You know, if you're nervous about it, you know, I'll tell our viewing audience the same thing. Start with a teaspoon 3 or 4 times a day. That's only 15 to 20 grams of essential fatty acids.
Right.
It's nothing.
Right.
And you'll find that you just start feeling a little bit better. And your energy goes up. And you start to burn a little bit of fat. I mean, I'm pretty liberal with my oil. I do like maybe, I had a chicken breast before I came to the show today, and it was maybe 6 ounces of chicken breast, and I put about a good tablespoon of my oil on it.
Wow.
And I didn't have any carbohydrate to eat with it, but,
Okay.
you know, I'll go have carbohydrate afterwards.
Okay. And when you talk about carbohydrates, what are the good carbohydrates again that one could consume?
Fruits
to
and
avoid-
vegetables. Can't get enough of those. The American Dietaries, not the American Dietary Association, the American Cancer Association did a really cool 10-year study. And the 10-year study was a study that showed that if Americans were to consume 9 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, they could reverse or completely avoid the onset of the 3 top prioritized cancers in the United States.
Prostate, breast cancer. And,
Yes,
yeah,
lung
colon.
is number 1.
Okay.
And a lot of people do not smoke, but they still have problems with lung cancer.
Wow.
And that's because our air is becoming more and more polluted. Number 2 is prostate and breast. And number 3 is colon and rectal.
Yeah.
So, you know, we talk about the colon a lot in my business. I mean, getting your bowels moving. Again, you need to have oils to lubricate. You need to have oils to make your minerals work well. You know, your minerals, your fats, your essential fatty acids, and your macronutrients like your proteins, you know, and carbohydrates all work together in unison.
Okay.
You know, they all have to be present at the same time every single day for your body to be loving you, you know, and loving your lean look. It's really amazing. So if you can manage to start doing some essential fatty acids, you know, that would be great.
Right.
So, Karen, start eating your raw seeds and nuts. It's really important.
Okay. Well, how would you describe a well-balanced diet between protein and fat and carbohydrates?
Well, I think the best diet for people to subscribe to is, now I see a lot of doctors telling people to cut out carbohydrates in their life.
Right.
And you know what? If they're not telling them to eat fats and to cut out carbohydrates, what's left?
Exactly.
Protein.
Protein, right.
So that's a misnomer. Don't just cut out carbohydrates and not replace it with oils and other carbohydrates like fruits and vegetables. So you have to make sure that you get your fruits and vegetables in every day. And again, if you follow the protocol implemented by the American Cancer Society, 9 servings a day equals at least 3 pieces of fruit a day, or a cup of strawberries, you know, a cup of grapes, that's 9 or 10 grapes
Right.
as a serving, and then at
Right.
least 2 to 4 cups of cooked or steamed vegetables a day.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Right. Right.
2 to 4 cups, that's a lot of vegetables. Most Americans eat a half a cup a day or a cup at the most. Maybe have a piece of fruit every day. So the rest of that caloric intake has to be taken up by what? Has to be taken up by carbohydrates
Right.
for the most part. Proteins for men, carbohydrates for women.
Okay. And why that distinction?
Women just are fat phobic.
Yeah.
You know, men are kind of like, well, I don't care. You know, I got a belly, so what? You know, men are just more casual about their looks than most women are. And men tend to work out more. I mean, when men work out, they stay working out. They love basketball. They love being out with
that's
their
true.
friends. They like to golf. So they get out and they do it. Women have more commitments for the
That's
most
true.
part. They have family, children. You know, everyone comes first, they come last.
Yeah.
And the most satisfying food, like, is carbohydrates. A woman I had today has a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And she said, she wrote down her dietary intake, and I was like, whoa. She had like 2 crackers and 2 saltines at the kids' preschool thing. She had, you know, maybe a couple bites of her kids' Fruit Loops for breakfast.
Oh, no.
She had a couple bites of the Spaghetti-O for lunch. So now what do we have? All carbohydrates.
All carbohydrates.
I think they had some candy as a snack in the afternoon. Around 6 o'clock, she was like, sugar! You know, get me sugar. So she had to like binge on a big bag of like Twix bars.
Yeah.
And she ate like half the bag, you know, for
Goodness.
dinner. And then when it came time to eat the real meal, she wasn't that hungry because she was really filled up on sugar and fat.
Right.
So all day long she starved, and what she did eat, she ate for the most part carbohydrates with no good oils and no balanced proteins in her diet.
Okay.
Not good.
Not at all.
So are you over being fat phobic? Have I talked you into eating good oils? What?
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I can definitely see a benefit, and it's true that people are fatigued from the high levels of energy that sugar brings and then the sudden drop. Okay.
Well, carbohydrates do that. They take you up,
Okay.
they drop you down. They take your blood sugar up. What happens when you eat a carbohydrate, Karen, is the pancreas, which is nestled right underneath the tummy here, under the stomach, is signaled upon the release of glucose into the bloodstream, which comes from your carbohydrates, to release insulin. Insulin, as you well know, is known to bring down your blood sugar. So if you eat too many carbohydrates, glucose rises, insulin rushes into the bloodstream, brings your blood sugar down, but insulin, which should be an energy creator, if there's too much of it, is stored as fat.
The insulin is?
Yes.
I see.
So you'll see most of the time diabetics tend to be overweight. They can't regulate their insulin.
I see.
So if you have oil in good fats in your diet, essential fatty acids, it stabilizes insulin production. It keeps it very stable. Makes that release of insulin very slow and steady into the bloodstream. So it brings your blood sugar or your glucose up very slowly. Insulin comes out very slowly, and it maintains it for a longer period of time. Whereby if you just do carbohydrate by itself, your blood sugar goes very high. Insulin also rises very high at the same time, and then boom, it drops very low. So you end up going like this all day long. I'm on a roller coaster ride. Blood sugar up, blood sugar down. And then there's no stabilization. I mean, people are generally very moody and grouchy and very hypoglycemic. And over the course of time, it will lead to diabetes, to do nothing but carbohydrates and no oils.
I see.
Not a good thing.
Right, right.
It's amazing. You know, there's like a release for us women to start eating fats and oils, the good stuff.
Right.
Because once you do it, you realize that, boy, my body's been missing this forever. And energy goes so high and your skin becomes so beautiful, you know, and you become so healthy. I mean, I have to say at my age, which is 44 this year, I'm the healthiest I've ever been.
Wow, that's fantastic.
You know, and I probably look better than I've ever looked with the least amount of effort.
Right.
I mean, in my 20s, I had to work out 7 days a week, and I still couldn't stand my body.
Yeah, simply by just adding fats.
Good essential fatty acids and balancing your diet.
And the problem with the carbohydrates is the refining process. Right.
Exactly. A carbohydrate is not a real food.
Right.
It's a processed food.
Okay.
And fats are real if they come from real sources like your fish, you know, your essential fatty acids from seeds, nuts, oils, and avocados.
Okay, and quickly, can you just give us a percentage of a well-balanced diet, like 40, 20, 60?
I would say for essential fatty acids, you should get in at least 30% oils, 30% carbs, and 40% proteins.
Okay, well, we are running out of time.
Again?
Yeah. And thank you definitely for joining the show
thanks
tonight.
Thanks for having me, Karen.
And again, I'm Karen Carruthers, and thank you for joining Health Exposures. Good night.